Luigi's Mansion is a constant theme for this character, a big old game that I loved on GameCube. Oh, do you want to do that? Do you want to see that in the future? Is that...
Yes,
No, he
I
doesn't.
do. Big time.
Recently, the Super Mario Bros. Movie reached $1 billion in the box office, and no surprise to anyone, but today I wanted to talk about what could happen in a sequel, as a lot of fans are more than eager to have some of the backstories of these characters explored, like where Peach came from. Whether it's a sequel or a cash grab, here is what we know about a potential sequel. Before I even stepped foot in a theater, I thankfully spotted an article that said to stay for an end credits scene, which I wouldn't have if I didn't see the article. Of course I did, to which I wasn't disappointed. After Mario and Luigi went invincible and Bowser went small, we were taken back into the sewers and saw a very familiar item, Yoshi's egg, followed by the sound of Yoshi himself. Now some may argue that we already saw a sea of Yoshis in the movie, but they weren't the Yoshi, more specifically Mario's Yoshi. Now it would make no sense that they would even think to do this if they hadn't already thought about it, and have high hopes that the movie was going to take off. Aside from talks about a sequel, some even have suggested and theorized that showing Yoshi's egg may not only mean that he would appear, but it would be setting up Yoshi's Island. When we go into what people want to see in a potential sequel, as we have mentioned before, Peach's backstory is begging to be explored, as she says she doesn't know where she came from. And it's not only origin stories that we want to see, but Wario and Waluigi as well. There were tons of Easter eggs, including references to old Mario games, items, and even worlds, like Luigi's Mansion, which people got very, very excited for. Seth Rogen and Charlie Day even mentioned that they would love to have a spin-off of the Mario movie, obviously titled Luigi's Mansion.
Even if I hadn't been cast as Luigi, I would have wanted to see a Luigi's Mansion movie.
I think maybe you're saying that just because you're Luigi. I know that you said that you weren't, but I think
there's a lot happening in that mansion. It's just like, you know, it's like...
I think you want Luigi's Mansion for yourself.
It's like The Shining meets Nintendo. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, it could be pretty good.
Yeah, it could be spooky and hilarious and fun.
And if we think about this, there could be a ton more of these films just based off of the Nintendo gaming industry alone. Link and Zelda, Peach's backstory, Toad's, and even Yoshi's with Yoshi's Island. Going through the reviews of the film, of course it was enjoyable, but people not necessarily expected more, but wanted more. A better story, a Mario Party sequence, so mostly just a ton more references to cameos and the different versions of the Mario games over the years. Now let's finally get into everything that we know about a potential sequel. Even though Illumination hasn't officially confirmed that a sequel is coming, it might just be too early. The film is still in theaters and gaining a lot of traction, so this may just be what they're focusing on. But the end credits scene of Yoshi's egg appearing kind of spells it out that they are thinking of something. In an interview with Bloomberg a week after the movie was released, producer Chris Meledandri chatted about the movie's success. My mind is a little bit blown. The box office figures are beyond my expectations. I'm extremely conservative by nature, but they are beyond anyone's wildest expectations. So apparently they are actually not allowed to talk about it just yet. This film already took a while to be released once they started working on it back in 2014, when the story was being written. Of course, what was going on with the world at the time in 2020 more than likely pushed back production by at least a year, but that's still 9 years of development. So hopefully if a sequel were to be true, it won't take that long again. It's far more likely that a decision on a sequel would be made much faster. We would also hope the gap between movies would be closer to a couple of Illumination's other titles, such as Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2, which were released in 2010 and 2013. A lot of the cast members who worked on this film showed great excitement about the project and having the opportunity to be a part of something this big, and have already said that they are all on board continuing on. Like we said, Charlie Day and Seth Rogen already said they want to do a spin-off inspired by Luigi's Mansion, which I think a lot of us can picture very clearly. But I wanted to turn this all around to you guys and ask your opinion on what Illumination should or should not do. Of course, we would love to see a sequel to this already beloved and historic film. However, to some people, regardless of a good film, would rather only have one and one only to keep it sacred. I believe wholeheartedly that they will be making another sequel for the cash grab reason, but also for the people that genuinely enjoyed it. I did see a review at one point before I even saw the movie saying that this film is for people who are longtime fans, and they were right. However, that didn't mean that if you never played the video games that you wouldn't understand the story. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below.